All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel. And yes, back by popular demand. It's As the REO Turns, brought to you by PJ Rock Super Chats, Buy Me a Coffee, and Patreon, as well as YouTube membership, but mostly by PJ Rock Super Chats. Although Buy Me a Coffee has been very good to me lately, as people recognize that I have a need for coffee. As we continue to document the end of the classic rock era and the soap operas that exist within these rock bands that are all fighting for what's left of their name and their legacy. By the way, REO Speedwagon is honoring their legacy on June 14th, and I'll have a link to that exciting real concert event, which probably won't include Kevin Cronin, all right? Because he's already booked out there in Bend, Oregon with his Kevin Cronin band. So Kevin Cronin was talking with a radio station in Detroit back in March. I missed this one. What an interview, right? So he did say some things I think that need to be covered here that I probably didn't cover during the first few installments of As the REO Turns. It says here, although Kevin is still performing the music he helped make famous, he's doing it under a new name. Now, it seems as though the classic rock world, what's left of it, is really invested in making sure that Kevin Cronin succeeds on his own without the REO Speedwagon name. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, well, it's still way better to have the brand name. And so Kevin Cronin said this to WCSX Radio, Detroit's classic rock, the station that plays the same songs over and over again. You might hear like what? Maybe 3 or 4 REO Speedwagon songs on WCSX? I'm kidding. Maybe 5 or 6. Anyway, Kevin Cronin said this to Detroit's classic rock. There's this kind of narrative going around that I somehow quit REO Speedwagon to pursue a solo career, which is total BS. Well, it's partly BS, but I wouldn't say it's total BS, Kevin. I would say there's maybe some BS, but not a ton of BS. All right. I'm the one who played 85 shows last year. And continuing into this year, keeping the REO energy and songs and band together. All right. So if you exclude Bruce Hall, then yes, he has kept the band together. But the only other legacy guy in that band was Bruce Hall. Let's recap, shall we? Now, people are going to say, well, Dave and Brian, they've been there since 1990. And that's what Kevin says. Hey, they've been there for 36 years. So they've created a new legacy with guys that aren't part of the old legacy. They're part of like the middle ages of REO Speedwagon. But essentially, a lot of people just kind of said, okay, REO Speedwagon, they're going to be, the band that goes around to the county fairs now. After 1990, and I know they put out an album like a dog, a chicken, a goat, and a hamster or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of the album. It didn't do all that well. And that was with Dave Amato, who's a pretty good guitarist. He used to hang out with Ted Nugent, but he's no Ted Nugent. He's no Gary Richrath either. I mean, Gary was very distinctive, and it's hard to replicate someone who is very distinctive. Give Dave credit. He can play guitar, and he seems like a nice guy. All right. Brian Hitt, who used to be in Wang Chung. Everybody needs to Brian Hitt tonight. I mean, all right, never mind. That didn't work. Then you've got Derek Hilliard or Hilland. Sorry, I'm butchering this. Derek is the new keyboardist, and Matt Bissonette, the guy who was supposed to temporarily replace Bruce Hall on bass guitar. And Bruce was supposed to come back and rejoin his former bandmate Kevin Cronin and his other bandmates, Dave and Brian and Derek. Now, of course, Neil Dowdy, the original keyboardist and the only original guy in REO up until he left, he decided to retire. And it seems as though Kevin was happier, probably without either one of these guys. I think he was happy when Neil left, and he's happier with Matt for whatever reason. Now, I've said almost from the beginning that I think there's got to be something more to this relationship between Kevin and Bruce Hall, stuff that we don't know about, personal stuff. And it's more on Kevin's side because Bruce has been incredibly nice and conciliatory. And he says things like, well, Kevin is our lead singer. We can't go on without Kevin as our lead singer. Now, there is this amazing REO Legacy event, which is scheduled for June 14th. I will again put a link in the description so you can purchase tickets for it. I'm hoping it will sell out. Don't know if it's going to, but I'm hoping that it will. And even if it doesn't, it's still going to honor the legacy of REO Speedwagon. And Mike Murphy is going to be there. Terry Luttrell is going to be there. Original drummer Alan Gratzer will be there. That's amazing. So you've got your old rhythm section, or let me say it this way. So the classic lineup for REO Speedwagon is the high infidelity lineup, much like Fleetwood Mac has the Rumors lineup. Journey has the Escape lineup. There are certain lineups that are the best. And in the case of REO, it was the high infidelity lineup, which of course was there and present when Bruce Hall began his stint with REO Speedwagon, replacing the late, great Greg Philbin. By the way, both Philbin and Gary Richrath will be honored at this REO Legacy event, the event that apparently Kevin Cronin can't attend because he's doing a gig with his Kevin Cronin band, which will happen in Bend, Oregon, of all places. So he'll be in Oregon. They'll be in Champaign, Illinois. Maybe Kevin will do a little video conference and get booed. I don't think he would be welcomed with lots of applause and accolades. I just have a feeling there's going to be a different kind of REO energy. As Kevin says, he's keeping the REO energy alive. Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're keeping the money coming in, and you've got the support of Irving Azoff and your buddy Tommy Shaw, who did something similar to Dennis DeYoung. Not exactly the same thing, but certainly that was a long time ago, and this took a lot longer for Kevin to wrestle control of whatever he has left, which isn't the name. Styx at least got the name. Kevin Cronin, thankfully, didn't get the name. If Kevin Cronin had gotten the name, it would have been identical to the Tommy Shaw JY takeover of Styx. But, it's interesting that when Kevin launched his band and the fact that he's going to be out there performing all the REO songs, he keeps saying, hey, it's the same band. Everything is the same. Come on out and see me, except people don't know who Kevin Cronin is compared to REO Speedwagon. And he had Tommy Shaw do a video with him. And they've been doing this for quite some time, going back and forth. I want to make a comment about alpha males, but I will refrain from doing that. I don't know. What's left of the classic rock world really is getting very pathetic. And, of course, you got the help of Don Felder out there, who keeps putting out music that nobody at classic rock stations is interested in playing, even though it's pretty good stuff. But I'm a little bit, you know, I guess disturbed by the idea that Kevin Cronin is going to go out there and pretend he's still REO Speedwagon without the name. And what's even more interesting is he's performing the High Infidelity album in its entirety, right? From start to finish. And you know who was on that album? Bruce Hall. In fact, Bruce Hall sings a song. It's called Someone Tonight. And it's a really good song. And back in the day, you know, way back in the early 80s when that album was the biggest thing on the planet, rock radio stations would play Someone Tonight. And you kind of need the lead vocals of Bruce Hall to make that more authentic. I wonder if it's going to be Matt Bissonette singing Someone Tonight. I'm sure it will be. But if you're not REO Speedwagon, how is it that you get to perform the music of REO Speedwagon? That's an interesting question. But again, Kevin wrote the songs, so he's going to perform the songs that he wrote. And people are going to say, Dave, you know, Kevin is REO Speedwagon. And you know what? Bruce Hall kind of agrees to some degree. He says, hey, he's the lead singer. And so we should honor him as lead singer. But Kevin does not want to honor Bruce Hall as bass player. And I keep going back to this idea that there's got to be something more. There has to be more than just, hey, he looks old. Because quite honestly, I saw Bruce Hall on a podcast the other day. He looks like just a really cool older rock star. That's what he looks like. I don't get it. In fact, you know, he doesn't look like grandma, right? He looks like an old biker you'll see, you know, driving down Route 1 in some town in Massachusetts, all right? All right, that's where I grew up, so Route 1's a big deal. But yeah, he looks the part. So it can't be the fact that he's just too old, because then you could put Kevin Cronin in that category. And quite honestly, Dave Amato isn't getting any younger. And Brian Hitt, maybe Matt Bissonette isn't as old as everybody else. But the bottom line here, folks, is there's got to be something more to this soap opera than just the idea that, you know, Kevin didn't like the way Bruce Hall looked on stage or some ridiculous thing. So anyway, another exciting edition of As the REO Turns. Again, folks, brought to you by PJ Rock Super Chats, Buy Me a Coffee, YouTube memberships, and subscribing to the channel, which I would urge people to do. Also, I will have a link in the description where you can go ahead and purchase tickets for this REO Legacy event happening on June 14th. If you're a hardcore, old-school REO fan, you should definitely check it out and attend the event and support, which appears to be a good cause on top of not only a great event. You're going to see people you haven't seen on stage for quite some time, Terry Luttrell, Mike Murphy, so you definitely want to be there for that. All right, God bless all the old REOers out there, and I'm sure there will be more installments coming your way of As the REO Turns.